Episode 9 is set to end the Skywalker saga and the sequel trilogy itself by writer and director J.J. Abrams and Chris Terrio. This is Mike Zero. If you guys are new to the channel, do make sure to subscribe to see future Star Wars content. Now, one thing I will say that's very mysterious about the Star Wars sequel trilogy has all to do with Rey's past, her lineage, and exactly who her parents really are in this story by JJ. And we do know that JJ actually changed many different elements of the character of Rey in this movie, and will be giving her a very important lineage in the film. Now, these past couple of weeks or so, we've been learning a whole lot more about this film when it comes to some of the set leaks, the set designs, the concept art, and storyboard descriptions, etc. One of which has all to do with Rey's father and the character of Rey in Episode 9. Specifically, a description of Rey inside of a cave full of glowing blue crystals. It's described to be one of the locations of her personal mission. It's described that Rey begins to hear a voice reaching out to her that leads her to another location in the cave. It's described that the voices she hears are auditory hallucinations of her father. The next goes over Rey witnessing a vision of her father while looking at one of the entrances to the cave. It's described that he is wearing a brown cloak with only the bottom half of his face showing. The sequence is described as the test of one's past. The last goes over Rey hearing and seeing elements of her past life in the cave, full of crystals, including more glimpses of her father and voices of him. It's described that Rey appears to be very teary-eyed during all of this. So I want to go over a couple of parts about this. Now, this crystal cave location, I believe, is going to be one of the spots within the Lost City. Now, we do know that the Lost City has a section in there called the Crystal City as well. So that leads me to believe that this most likely and definitely does take place within the Lost City in Episode 9, an abandoned concept from Episode 7, The Force Awakens, that never made it to the final cut of the movie. So Rey hearing the voices of her father, auditory hallucinations, and actually seeing visions of her father, where it's described that her father is wearing a brown robe with the hood over his head, revealing only the bottom half of his face. So this crystal cave, I'm really starting to wonder exactly what's the significance of it all, and what type of crystals are they? Could these very well be kyber crystals? Is it perhaps exactly one of Rey's mission to actually go over there? One of Rey's missions to go over there is all to do with kyber crystals, perhaps? That's a big possibility for sure. So what really does intrigue me, though, is that once she goes into this crystal cave, she is hearing many different elements of her past, and this whole entire sequence is actually described as the test of one's past. So her hearing voices of her father, even though it's obviously not a Force ghost or anything, they are auditory hallucinations, similar to what we heard, through, of course, Yoda and Obi-Wan in, of course, The Force Awakens in the form of a vision. So with that being said, where are we? Exactly where are we? What planet does this actually reside on? I think that where we are is most definitely an extension of the Lost City, and a very important part of the actual second act of Episode 9. So the thing here is this: we do know that J.J. Abrams is going to be exploring the concept of the Force in greater detail in this movie, and will be giving Rey a very important lineage in Episode 9. So the thing here is this: we also know that Rey's father is going to be used as a major component for the character of Rey and her character development in Episode 9 in order to move the character forward through the story from start to finish, in order to evolve her until we get to the very end of Episode 9. So this whole entire crystal cave setting, I'm going to go ahead and say that most likely these crystals are kyber crystals. I find it very odd how a lot of these crystals are considered to be blue and actually glowing inside of this mysterious cave that's actually based underneath the planet of whatever it's actually called. Now, as we went over just a couple of weeks ago, we also know that Rey's father is going to be used for one of the big sequences at the very end of the movie that's really going to be connected to one of the sequel trilogy characters, and will also change our view on one of the legacy characters in Episode 9. So with that being said, how JJ is really trying to create all these different surprises and twists and turns, especially for the character of Rey, I think is a real good thing. I think it's a step in the right direction, because these twists and turns for the character of Rey is actually going to make us view the character in a different way for The Force Awakens and The Last Jedi, and that this version of Rey is going to appear to be a different character in Episode 9, especially with this personal mission that she goes on over to this mysterious world and into the Lost City and this crystal cave. So the other thing that I do want to touch on is that we also know that Rey's father is of course going to be in the form of flashback sequences, as we have gone over before in the past, and it leads me to believe that J.J. Abrams is trying to maybe go for a Godfather Part 2 format when it comes to Episode 9, you know, having a lot of flashbacks here and there and visions, as well as cutting back to the present time. And it's also said that this Star Wars movie is going to be the longest Star Wars movie, or at least longer than the usual Star Wars movie so far in the Skywalker saga, so it's unclear as of right now if it's going to be longer than that of The Last Jedi, or if it's not going to be longer. Anyways guys, drop a comment below, let me know what you think about all of this in the comments, and if you guys did enjoy the content for today, do make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you all so very much for the kind support, and I'll catch you guys next time.
From night to moon, we hear them moans again.